Now before we move forward, this video is 18 plus because what you're about to witness is a serious hazard. So, F1 2014, a season known for not many good things. Number 1, the ugliest F1 cars of all time. Number 2, the worst sounding and most quiet F1 cars of all time. And number 3, one of the slowest cars in a long time that we've had in terms of overall pace. So, I thought I'd revisit them here today. I have a grid of 12 cars, a bit of a mix, a pick and mix if you will, and I've chosen the ugliest and the strangest of the lot with the Lotus E22 with the twin tusks which are asymmetric. But we have more cars in this race. We have the Toro Rosso, which of course had a very noticeable nose. We have the vacuum cleaner Ferrari, the car which oversteers and understeers at the same time. I've got another video coming with this specific car down the line. The McLaren MP429 gets an unfair rap. Yes, it has an ugly nose, but generally wasn't a bad car and was the last McLaren to achieve a podium up until last season. The Red Bull RB10, arguably the best car in my opinion of the grid, still looks insane, very nice livery, hides the nose defects well, and is known as the car in which Daniel Ricciardo made his debut and destroyed Sebastian Vettel in his first season with Red Bull. And last but not least, we also have another vacuum cleaner, which in this case is the Mercedes, also one of the better looking cars, probably second best, maybe even the best car in a close kind of fight with Red Bull in terms of what's best or worse from what was a pretty miserable year of cars looking terrible. Now I've done a few attempts at this race and they've all gone wrong, so I've had to break out the soft tyre and dump the fuel because this car is horrible to drive. Anyway, let's get into it. Underway for the race. We're going to just take it cautiously here into turn 1 before we really get into it. But yeah, it should be relatively well behaved as it is an actual Assetto Corsa circuit in the form of Austria. But yeah, let's try and see if we can get a couple of places here at the start and hopefully make some progress. I've got absolutely no tyre temperature right now as we make our way through turn 3. Got no drive in third gear. I had to drop it down a second there. We're going to pull ahead of Sebastian Vettel as we make our way down to turn 4. But Vettel fights back around the outside, leaving the space. Oh, we lock on. Looks like I managed to just get in front, but there is no grip on this tyre. Can I at least get some temperature? That would be very nice. No, this ain't happening. Just gonna have to try and stay alive here. So far so good actually. P8 gained 4 places. Not too shabby. There is just no grip whatsoever in this car. You just turn, the front end just refuses to do anything. It's actually ridiculous. I mean, I've got a video coming up on the Ferrari, which will be a completely different story in itself as the Red Bull of Sebastian Vettel runs in hot. We almost have a moment. So we have a bit of understeer, oversteer, which we love to see with these cars. But actually, let's talk about that. That brings me on to the topic of this video and what I want to talk about. The 2014 F1 cars and the season, let's be honest, forgetful. A decent, okay-ish title fight, and the one redeeming quality of these cars is that they were a handful to drive, so it was a challenge for the driver. Arguably, even though these were so slow, they were more challenging to drive than the 2020 cars, which is, obviously a super grippy, fast car with a lot of G-force. But these were just such a tough car to drive, with the exception of Mercedes, I'd say, that drivers genuinely had a massive workout in these. Besides that, that's it. There's no more positives to take from these cars in this season. As I mentioned in the intro, they're known for a lot of bad things, and yeah, the worst thing about it is that the ugliest looking car I think of all time isn't even present on this grid. I present to you the Caterham, the 2014 Caterham, the last Caterham we ever saw, and before the nose change, the nose job, oops, as we almost crash it, at the last race in Abu Dhabi, or there or thereabouts, it had the worst looking nose, or double nose, of all time. Absolutely horrific, as we have a Red Bull here, Ricciardo, facing the wrong direction. But yeah, what I've done for this video anyway is get all the mods that I've seen available of the 2014 season and put them together in a little 12-car race package. There are other ways of doing this video. F1 2014, the game, but let's be honest, that game is one of the worst F1 games of all time and has one of the worst physics and handling packages of all time. F1 2015 exists, which isn't too bad, but I can't play it as I have a software error. So, the next best thing is Assetto Corsa, which holds up perfectly fine, and let's be honest, these mods are really good quality. I'll leave a link down below, and it's actually far more enjoyable and far more realistic than anything F1 games from Codemasters are going to provide. And for the purpose of this video, which is getting a workout from these cars which are snapping and oversteering like crazy, that's what we want. But yeah, at the minute we're just hanging in here with Ricciardo, trying to see if I can stick with. But I'm starting to now lose time. I don't even know if I've got DRS. I don't think I have, or at least not on this straight. Tyres are stone cold. These tyres need CPR. Like, I cannot get any temperature in these or whatsoever, which is probably why I'm slow. Otherwise, I think I'd be okay pace-wise. I am on the hardest difficulty. Got the DRS open now, so we're going to see a bit of a boost. But yeah, this car as well, man. My God. I think it's probably the second worst looking car of all time after the Caterham, because the twin tusks, asymmetrical nose, combined with the fact that it just was a terrible car. You know, it was really slow. Renault in 2014 had a terrible engine. All these factors combined with their lineup being extremely mid, and that's being generous with Maldonado and Grosjean. It was a recipe for a pretty terrible year for Lotus. Their last year under Renault power before they switched to Mercedes power in 2015 and got their podium, and then obviously changed to Renault in 2016 as a works team. Oh dear, this car is not fun to drive. Another thing as well, these cars were the last ones to have the old-fashioned LED, you know, traditional kind of red LED wheels before we got the screens, you know, with the new kind of hybrid units. It was kind of a mixture. We had some old wheels and some new wheels in this season. I think I've got a car on the inside here. Yes, I have. That's that's Roman. So we might get into a teammate battle here. Oh God, it's all gone wrong. It's all gone wrong. This car, these cars in general, are just not fun to drive, man. I'll try and catch back up, but I'm not feeling particularly optimistic. I'm not gonna lie. 3 laps to go, and I already want it to end. The best lap of 1:14.3. If you compare that to like the lap times the 2020 F1 cars were doing, even in race trim, I think like 105s. It's crazy how bad these cars were. Definitely a dark age and a bad start to the the current hybrid era as we know it. I mean, the engines have come a long, long way in the 8 years or so, 9 years now since we've had these regs, but I'm glad this era's behind us. I'm all for challenging cars, but this wasn't it. They stripped away too much downforce, combined with too many other bad things. Like, genuinely, there is no satisfaction. I'm trying to catch these 2 cars up ahead, but it's not going to happen. and I'm already, if it's been 8 laps, I've run the 1 minute lap circuit, and it felt like an eternity. I'm so glad this is over, and we'll put this behind us. I've got one more video lined up with the Ferrari, which is going to be painful, but anyway, I'm done. This car is horrible, man. What a disaster of a machine. The 2015 car was way better than this, and even that was mid. Well, there we go. Hopefully you enjoyed. Not a lot of action, and that's kind of how things went, really. Painful cars to drive, a painful error, and one that I hope we never revisit. The cars look so out of date now, especially compared to the new machines we have in 2022. But yeah, I'll leave a link down below if you want to, tear your hair out and, pull your eyeballs out and shout and scream and get annoyed. These will be the cars for you, so go check them out, link down below. And yeah, subscribe to the channel for more daily F1 content. As always, a big shout out to the members. Check out the 2 videos on screen, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and that's goodbye from me.